actually, next month, November 14th, will be my disease's 19th birthday. 2 years, we're going to have a party. I would like to thank you guys all for coming. A lot of times people give to charities and events that they don't really know where the money is going. I would like to tell you some of the things that the Arthritis Foundation does. But first I want to tell you a little bit about my story, because really it's not that rare, unfortunately. I'm saying a lot, I'm sorry. As you may know, because Judy just told you, 300,000 children in the U.S. deal with some form of juvenile arthritis. 10% of those, so roughly 3,000 kids, right, have the systemic form, which is what I have. So it's systemic onset juvenile idiopathic arthritis, or Still's disease. I prefer Still's because it's obviously a lot shorter and easier to say. In addition to the standard symptoms of juvenile arthritis, like joint pain and swelling, children with Still's disease have more issues that they go through. We have fevers that are so high they can cause brain damage. We have painful itchy rashes, which I don't know if you can see, but I do have a little bit tonight. And then organ involvement, their organs can stop working correctly, whether it's medications or the disease attacking their organs. And unfortunately, in the last year, I know several people who have died because of arthritis. It's not just arthritis. There's really only one drug that the FDA has approved to specifically target the kind of arthritis that I have, Still's disease. There are a couple others in trials, and there are actually several more available if you go outside the U.S. Most of the children that I know are treated aggressively with chemotherapy drugs and other biological drugs that may or may not work with their disease. It depends on what causes their inflammation and how quickly their body builds up antibodies to stop the medication from working. I actually know a young woman in England right now who she just had a doctor's appointment earlier this week, and he told her there was nothing more that they could do to treat her arthritis. She's been in and out of a hospital probably 9 or 10 times over the last year, and now they're looking into bone marrow transplants as a way to stop her Still's disease from getting worse. I like to lovingly refer to my Still's disease as Arthur. I know a lot of people who do too. Obviously, it comes from arthritis. But I had just started kindergarten when I first got sick. And I had strep throat, but I still really wasn't over it. I was really lethargic. And then I started getting rashes and fevers and joint swelling. We didn't really know what was going on. We went to a bunch of different doctors. We assembled like my A team of doctors. And I got a ton of different misdiagnoses, from allergies to Fifth's disease and then leukemia. With the leukemia came a life expectancy of 6 weeks. I was told that we needed to start aggressive radiation treatments and very high doses of chemotherapy, and I might maybe live another couple months. I wasn't even 6 years old yet. My mother is a saint. Due to my illness, understandably, she got very, very involved in the medical world and learning about the different kinds of ways that diseases can affect bodies. She told the doctors, no, this isn't right, it doesn't fit her symptoms the right way, and she refused treatment. She then spent nights after night after night, weeks long, in the University of Oregon's night library, looking through medical textbooks and medical journals, trying to figure out what was going on with me. Because, 1993, there wasn't Google. You couldn't just easily type in Still's disease and, blog pops up, medical journals pop up. And that was even if you knew what it was. She found an article that was talking about autoimmune illnesses in like Norwegian brown rats or something. And then that led her to George Still's research. He's an English pediatrician, also very famous for studying ADD, one of the first doctors who found that. She took that research that he had done in like the 1880s combined it with all of the meticulous notes she kept on me. She took multiple pictures, videotape, and then documented where I had swelling on little drawings of me, along with really, really good notes. Brought it to the team of doctors, and they're like, oh, okay, there you go, that's what's going on. But there really wasn't a treatment plan for it in place. Still's disease is so rare, as I talked about, 3,000 kids in the U.S. right now live with it. There is an adult onset type of the disease. It's even more rare. So doctors in Eugene, Oregon don't maybe necessarily know how to treat it as well as maybe someone at Mayo Clinic would. There was a point in my life where I didn't like to tell people that I had Still's disease, because it just came out as I have this weird type of rheumatoid arthritis kind of something. And again, I would get the comments, you're too young. You're too young to have arthritis. You are like 7 years old. What are you talking about? Like, you've been spending way too much time with your grandparents. And, it really does hurt when you hear that. Well, no, I'm legitimately hurting. I can show you pictures. I can show you my knee right now. And still, there was something wrong with the doctors. They didn't diagnose you right. And in 2007, I met my fiance, and he really wanted to learn about what was going on with my disease, what was going on with my body. And it's really hard to look at him and say, so it could enlarge my spleen, I could have this go on, I could have that go on, and I could maybe die. Like, how do you look at someone you love and tell them, I could die because my body's being weird? So between a fear of hearing you're too young again and the fear of rejection, I decided I would start blogging about my experiences instead. So I started a blog, and it helped me really communicate with him better. But something amazing happened after that was that more people found my blog, people from all over the world who, like me, needed to know that they weren't alone. They needed to see something from a patient's perspective that says, yes, this is what you're dealing with. Like, I'm feeling the way you're feeling, and you're not crazy. So with them as a support team, with my fiance, we were able to get me into an appointment in Milwaukee to see a rheumatologist. I hadn't seen a doctor in about 14 years at that point, because when I was young, when we did get the diagnosis, we were told, well, you can just take liquid naproxen or Aleve, but there's not really anything else we can do for you. At that point, Enbrel, Humira, a lot of the biological drugs were just getting started, so there really wasn't an option for me at that point. We kept in touch with my doctors over the years, but again, there really wasn't anything they could do for me anyway. In the time since that first adult rheumatological appointment in March 2010, I have failed several medications, had negative reactions to a bunch of others, and have been diagnosed with some additional forms of arthritis like fibromyalgia. I even had to, over this last year, quit graduate school because of the activity my disease has. And I'm sorry, I'm going to get a little emotional. I was a high school valedictorian. I barely missed a day of high school. I was on the honor roll. I had an international baccalaureate degree, AP credits up the wazoo. And I had to stop graduate school because my body didn't want me to go. It's very frustrating to handle. But through my blog and social media and the Arthritis Foundation, I have met a really large amount of people who have helped to change my life. I went from feeling very alone and very scared to really having the ability to reach out to somebody that is newly diagnosed with a form of arthritis and get them to the right kinds of resources because of the other people that I'm in touch with. Together we can have the ability to laugh and cry over what we're going through. We can insult our diseases by being active, or we can even discuss things like doctors and medical reactions to medications that maybe need to not be medications to take anymore. One of the things I love about the Arthritis Foundation is how they are trying and succeeding, very much so, in making living with juvenile arthritis a lot less painful and lonely than it has been in the past. They provide, as Judy was talking about, the JAFN program, which is the Juvenile Arthritis Family Network. Families dealing with juvenile arthritis can come together and talk about things like school accommodation programs or attending juvenile arthritis conference that happens every year. They also do have a large number of camps that go on every year for children where they can go and they can feel normal and they can talk about their specific problems and not have the "you're too young" retorts come back from the other children or adults. They also help to educate doctors so that instead of getting misdiagnoses of leukemia and allergies, we can get the correct diagnoses, which then helps to give children especially a great chance at remission. If you treat juvenile arthritis specifically within the first 6 months to a year after the onset, you have a huge chance of that child going into remission. And most importantly, though, for me anyway, the Arthritis Foundation works to get research so that we can find a cure. And that's really what we need. If anyone has any questions, you can feel free to come bug me and I will talk to you.